Disney movies have a track record for being some of the finest animated films ever to grace the screen. And believe it or not, Disney is no slouch when it comes to their licensed video games. When people talk about the best Disney video games, DuckTales for the NES is usually in the conversation. It was so well liked that 20 years later it saw a remaster, and even more recently it was a part of the Disney Afternoon collection. Now with all this DuckTales love as of late, and even a brand new cartoon show, which you should definitely check out, I thought I should make a list of some other great Disney video games. But where should I start?
I think I can help you with that.
Who said that? Jiminy Cricket, is that you?
No, not Jiminy Cricket, it's just me, Dom, it's Josh.
Of course, it's my pal Josh from the YouTube channel Concrete Donkey.
Dom, I just thought I'd pop by because I'm quite the Disney game aficionado and I thought I would lend my services to you to help you name some awesome games and maybe shine the spotlight on some titles people haven't heard of.
Like The Lion King, right?
I was thinking of like actual good games, not just ones which you just feel really nostalgic about and actually are worth replaying.
I like The Lion King.
Anyways, let's get on with our top 5. Our first one on the list is actually about the main mouse himself, Mickey. Conceptually speaking, Epic Mickey is perfect. It's literal dynamite. This game was a 3D platformer when it was rare to find one. The art design was outstanding. The game was written by Warren Spector, who was a guy behind some of the best narratives in the 90s in regards to video games. And it brought back the classic mischievous Mickey, which we haven't seen as an archetype for Mickey Mouse for such a long time. The cherry on top of this cake is that they reimagined the Disney franchise completely into this weird dystopian world. And because of all those reasons, I want to say that Epic Mickey is the best Disney game of all time. But I can't, because although it set out to do some amazing things, it doesn't quite deliver. The gameplay is a bit lackluster, and it's such a shame because everything else, the thematicness, bringing back all of Disney's past, and harkens back to Disney's history with darker themes, which is something they used to do all the time. You know, look at Black Cauldron and the Adventures of Archibald and Mr. Toad. It was nice to see a Disney game which dared to be different, so it still deserves your time.
Mickey Mouse has a plethora of games out there, and I've got a great pick for a retro Mickey game.
Dom, I think I know where you're going with this. Castle Illusion, Sega Mega Drive, right?
Close. It's the lesser talked about sequel that's not only just as good, but offers up some fun couch co-op too. World of Illusion for the Sega Genesis is a side-scrolling platformer. So what could be so special about that in a time where everyone and their grandmother started a side-scrolling platformer? Well, the main draw to this game is that there is 2-player simultaneous gameplay. You and a buddy can control Mickey and Donald as they whip enemies in the face with magical blankets, as they move across colorful and well-animated levels. The co-op is what really makes this game, because it's all about teamwork. Some areas can only be reached by one player, who is catapulted into the air by the other. Then that player must drop down a rope to the other so they can continue onward. There's a section where you must move a train cart by timing your jumps to keep it moving forward. And sometimes you'll even have to help Donald get his fat keister through some tight spaces. If you play solo, the character you choose will lead you down a different path, giving the game a good deal of replayability. Mix in some boss battles and some catchy, lighthearted music, and you have a fun afternoon waiting for you.
So far, all these games have featured Mickey Mouse, but the next game on our list is a different story. Toy Story, to be exact.
That was terrible.
Just to give you guys a heads up, I am very nostalgic about this game, but I do honestly think it's one of the best 3D platformers on the PlayStation. To me, that all comes down to the fact that it really captures the feel of the film. The reason for that is it has such a great sense of exploration. Toy Story as a franchise is well set up. We all know Andy's house and, you know, Al's Toy Barn and all these places. And this game just allows you to explore them at your leisure. How the game works is kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, but instead of collecting jiggies, you collect Pizza Planet tokens. And the more Pizza Planet tokens you get, you can further explore other places in the Toy Story universe. It doesn't have a colourful hub world like in Banjo-Kazooie, but what it has instead is still really, really charming. The map is drawn on an Etch-a-Sketch, and you just like move around the Etch-a-Sketch to go to different places. It all felt like fan service, but in a good way. And tying games should be fan service and still be a fun game at the same time.
I was actually really surprised about how much I enjoyed Toy Story 2 when you first suggested it.
Why, you don't trust me, Dom?
No, that's not it. It just seemed like an odd choice.
Well, the next game is a bit of a goofy choice. It's Goof Troop on SNES.
Please stop that. This is a game that can fly under the radar for some people. It's a fairly well-received Disney property, though not on the levels of ones like Toy Story and Mickey Mouse, so it's easy to pass this game off as mediocre. Goof Troop is a top-down adventure puzzle game that plays pretty similar to games like The Legend of Zelda. And again, the big draw to this game is that there is simultaneous couch co-op goodness, which, if you haven't guessed by now, I'm a big fan of. When booting up the game, you're greeted with a familiar screen. Ah yes, the Capcom logo. And at that time, this meant you likely had a quality game on your hands, since they are behind many of the greatest Disney games ever made. And if you dig a little deeper, you'll find out that this game was designed by Shinji Mikami. Yeah, the creator of the Resident Evil franchise. And no joke, you can find a lot of similarities between Goof Troop and the early Resident Evil games, as this game is loaded with those classic Resident Evil block moving puzzles. The puzzles can be challenging, but persistence always pays off. It's not nearly the length of a game like A Link to the Past, but for a game you can snag for under $10, it's a must-have for your Super Nintendo collection.
Dom, we should totally play this game together.
I'd love to, Josh, but you're across the pond in merry old England.
Now, if I just had a magic lamp or something, I could just wish you across the Atlantic.
No, stop right there, Josh. No more bad jokes. Let's just get to our final pick, Aladdin for the Sega Genesis.
Oh, you're no fun.
Aladdin for the Sega Genesis is our all-time favorite Disney game. Why? Because it does a fantastic job of making you feel as though you're playing through the movie. The settings, the character sprites, and especially the music do justice to one of the best Disney movies ever made.
The game was released on the Genesis and the SNES, but we do kind of prefer the Genesis version. It's a bit more action orientated, giving Aladdin a sword. Let's be honest, you're not going to be beating Jafar with just apples alone. And the animations are so fluid, it's a beautiful game.
The game follows the story to a T as you jump, slash, and fly your way to the final confrontation with the evil Jafar. It may seem like a typical action platformer, but the controls are very responsive and the gameplay is so satisfying.
You can fling apples and ride a magic carpet and fight challenging bosses. This game isn't easy and definitely not for the faint-hearted, but it's challenging in the fair way, and people tend to agree. I mean, this game sold 4 million copies and outsold stuff like Streets of Rage.
Aladdin on the Sega Genesis is by far one of the best video game adaptations of a Disney property, and if you haven't played it, then make sure to give it a shot, because it will show you a whole new world of Disney gaming goodness.
Boo! Your jokes suck more than my jokes. What is this?
Oh, you be quiet.
Now that wraps up our top 5 favorite Disney games.
Hold on a second, Josh. Aren't you forgetting something? Weren't we going to talk about that other Disney Genesis classic?
Too late, Dom. The video's over.
But it didn't even get an honorable mention.
Oh, I didn't realize you like platformers with floaty-ass jumps and edges which you just can't grab hold of.
Hey, watch what you're saying about Lion King on the Genesis. It is amazing!
Well, if you want to see us talk about 5 games we both dislike in the Disney universe, come on over to Concrete Donkey as we're doing a little collab about that as well.
It's okay, Josh. We can agree to disagree, because at the end of the day,
it's all fun and games.
Hey, that's my line. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked that video, make sure to head over to Josh's channel, Concrete Donkey, where you can check out our top 5 worst Disney games. And if you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to both of us. Thanks again.